Welcome inside the RX Muscle Studios here in New York for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as #AskDave, brought to you by, as always, by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. Glad you can join us on this Wednesday afternoon 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. If you're watching us live on YouTube for the first time ever, click the subscribe button below. You're not going to miss any of our shows, segments, or updates. We have this show. We have upcoming at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live with Rich Piana. He confirmed with us yesterday, so we're excited to have him on. You're not going to want to miss that. Rich Piana, of course, everything with his cycle, all his opinions. He is a man that has a lot to say on all things bodybuilding. As we now bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, we are now sitting barely 6 weeks, if I'm not even 6 weeks out of the Arnold Classic. We have all the athletes coming up. SciTech Nutrition is going to be helping us out throughout our entire Arnold coverage, and of course today, Rich Piana.
Yeah, it's an exciting month because not only will I be turning 48,
38.
48. I can't believe I'm saying 48. But I do have a son now, so at least I could say I'm 48, but I have kids, Not only am I turning 48 this month, not only is it Black History Month, but it is also Arnold Lead-Up Month. And we have 3 Arnolds in a row. Arnold USA, Arnold Australia, Arnold Brazil, 2 weeks apart throughout the month of March. It's exciting times. We got all athletes starting to get ready to get on stage. It's actually less than, I believe, 5 weeks.
5
it might
weeks,
be 4.5 weeks
correct.
at this point. And we have, obviously Kai Green is what everyone's talking about now. But I love one thing about the Arnold Classic, not necessarily the competition, but the expo. The expo is one of the best expos I've ever been to. People always ask me, if you want to see a great expo, Dave, what is the best show to go? Arnold Classic USA. And, Rich Piana has one of the most popular booths at these expos, at all the expos he goes to, but especially the Arnold Classic. So I figured what better way to kick off the Arnold coverage month than with Rich Piana. Let's see what he's got planned. Let's see what he's got going on. I know he's doing some crazy build-up cycle right now. He's putting on a lot of size and mass, and we'll see how much weight he's actually gained so far, and we'll see where he wants to take this. So I'm excited to get him on live with and really get in-depth into the mind of Mr. 5%.
If you've never been to the Arnold Classic, first of all, I definitely suggest you do so, especially if you're a fan of the bodybuilding world. Rich Piana, especially on Saturday, there starts on Friday. Then you have the Saturday portion that's the busiest portion of the expo. The line around the booth to get to Rich Piana's 5% nutrition booth is something to behold. I mean, you will be about 30 minutes away. You could barely even see the booth, but when you get nearby, you know exactly why, because everybody wants to get a piece of him, everybody wants his autograph, a picture with him, and of course, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live with one-on-one Dave Palumbo will be interviewing Rich Piana. 30-minute question and answer with Dave Palumbo. Anything training, supplementation, IFBB pros competitions. Of course, your questions on the upcoming Arnold Classic. You can join us on the Muscle Central Forum on rxmuscle.com, on our YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, or tweeting using #AskDave. As we go to the Muscle Central Forum on rxmuscle.com and check in with OBX4Jeep. Hey, Dave. I hate this show so much, I'd rather go through 17 days of your 21-day detox and not be able to eat red meat or drink black coffee than listen to this show. Oh, wait, I am on day 17 of your detox diet, and I'm miserable without my black coffee every morning, but needless to say, I need to let everyone know what your detox diet truly does work wonders. Thank you. Anyway, Dave, I have a question regarding women following the ketogenic diet. My fiance has been following the ketogenic diet for a couple of weeks now and has reported to me that she's experiencing the usual signs of menstruation on days not on her usual menstruating cycle. She does take birth control and was wanting to know if the diet is the cause for this abnormality, and if you think so, do you have any suggestions as to some way to cure this issue? Thanks again for the detox diet.
Well, for all of you out there who would like a copy of my 3-week detox diet, since I got a pretty interesting applause from someone, you can email me at huge285@aol.com, and I will provide you a copy with it for free. All right, let's talk about menstruation during dieting. Now, there's been a lot of theories as to why some women will lose their period, get an irregular period, or get a very heavy or very light period. And I believe it comes down to hormonal production. I think when body fat levels get very low, because estrogen is made in the fat cells, estrogen levels drop, and a lot of times women lose their period. Or their balance of estrogen to progesterone is out of whack. And because of that, they might get their period more frequently, or they may get it, heavier or less, intense than they normally do. So these deviations are really based on hormonal production in the body. Women who tend to take the pill don't really notice that because their hormones are being artificially put into their body. So don't be too concerned when your body fat levels get low if your period gets screwed up, because it comes with the territory. Talk to women's long distance runners. They usually don't get their period for years sometimes because their body fat levels are so low that their bodies just don't produce enough estrogen. Now, is that bad for you? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I haven't seen any negative ramifications come from women who lost their period for short periods of time. Obviously, if you don't get your period for 5 years, that could be a problem. But if you're dieting and you're having irregularity, I wouldn't worry about it.
Let's go to our good friend BB50 plus Dave and Sid. I hate this show more than Dave hates continually answering CLA, HIT versus LISS, and what gear to take when off-cycle questions. Let's get to it. When taking a fiber supplement, is it okay to mix it with protein powder, or should the fiber be taken at a different time? And if it is a different time, does it matter what time of the day, morning, night, noon? What is the maximum amount of fiber a day a 200-ish pound guy should take?
The great thing about fiber is it doesn't matter when you take it. I wouldn't take it necessarily with fatty acid supplements because it could bind them up and inactivate them. But when you mix it with protein, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we eat protein sources with fibrous foods all the time. So you can mix it in. It does thicken the protein up. It might make it almost too thick like mud. It might not. You might kind of ruin the taste of the protein because it gets so thick. I take my Fiberlize supplement twice a day, and the reason I use it twice a day is because once a day is just not enough, I feel. How much fiber should you take? If you're using a psyllium-based fiber, which is a very high potency, insoluble fiber, you're probably looking to get about 16 to 20 grams a day max. That's usually enough. Psyllium is super potent. You don't have to take in tons and tons and tons of it. I take mine about middle of the day, sometime between meals, and then I usually take it right before bed. And the great thing about Fiberlize is that it's a soluble and insoluble fiber supplement. It's a dual fiber supplement. Most fiber supplements are not dual fiber, where they contain both soluble and insoluble fiber. Also, a lot of supplements out there that are multiple, or dual fiber supplements don't use psyllium as their insoluble fiber source. They may use like flaxseed, or they may use like oat bran. Not as potent. So you really want to look for something that's psyllium-based with an insoluble fiber in there. And like I said, I truly believe that Fiberlize is the only real option that gives you both of those with a delicious taste. We have lemonade, fruit punch, and of course mango flavor. Once again, I don't care if you use mine or not. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm just telling you, a lot of my supplements make the job of doing what you need to do easier. We put the right dosages in there, the right amounts, with the right taste.
Let's go to Monstro. Hi, Dave. I hate this show so much, but I will have to watch Rich Piana because he is so controversial and polemic. All right. What is best 4 weeks pre-contest? Drop testosterone completely with 1 mg Arimidex ED versus use 150 to 350 mg week of testosterone with more Arimidex, like 3 mg ED, or 5 mg letrozole ED.
I think you're making this too complicated. A lot of people make contest prep and cycling so difficult, it's unbelievable. If you're doing testosterone, with some Arimidex or letrozole, whatever you're using as an anti-aromatase to block testosterone to estrogen conversion, stick with it right up to the day of the show. There's no reason to stop it. Okay? I don't know why people stop testosterone. People are so afraid of water retention. If you're not eating a lot of carbs, you're not going to retain water. And when you do eat carbs at the end to carb up, you take a diuretic and you water restrict. So if you have the right formula, then there's no fear of it. Testosterone will make you full, will keep you full. The aromatase inhibitor, whether it be Arimidex or whether it be letrozole or Aromacin, will prevent the conversion of testosterone to estrogen, which will also keep you drier. That's the plan, okay? Don't start changing things at 4 weeks out, because then you're going to change your physique for the worse.
Let's go to Big Mike Cox. And I don't know if you, Dave, get a lot of weed-related questions on the show, do you?
Not too many weed questions, but I can answer them.
All right. Dave, I hate this show. I'd rather French kiss Nicole Bass after she eats 2 cans of tuna while getting spanked by Bull Stanton. Would smoking weed in the off-season to increase appetite be a bad idea?
I'm not a big advocate of marijuana for bodybuilders, because it does cause a lot of aromatization of testosterone. In other words, it converts testosterone into estrogen, raises estrogen levels also directly. Don't like that. Not good for bodybuilding. I know a lot of bodybuilders smoke weed out there, but I think a lot of the guys that are big weed smokers tend to have trouble getting really hard and grainy. And I think it's because they have so much estrogen in their body. So, yeah, I mean, if you smoked once a week, it probably wouldn't be the end of the world. But if you're like one of these guys that has to smoke weed 3 times a day, every single day, not good for bodybuilding. Pick another drug.
Let's go to your pal Sal, and he photoshopped hashtag I hate this show on the hashtag asking. Very clever. Good job. Are pre and or post-workout carbs compatible with a ketogenic diet? Yes, no, and why?
Well, the why is that, first of all, the answer is no. The why is because a ketogenic diet implies that you're not eating any carbohydrates. Because once again, the brain will not go into ketosis in the presence of carbohydrates, because the brain will always use carbs as a fuel source preferentially. It only switches its metabolism into burning fat or ketones when there is an absence of carbohydrates, specifically for at least 72 hours straight. So the body takes 72 hours to get into a state of ketosis. Now, if you're putting carbs in there, okay, into your meal plan, your brain is going to start using the carbs for fuel, and you won't be in ketosis. This doesn't mean you're not going to burn fat. It just means you're not going to be in ketosis. And the whole advantage of being into ketosis is that the brain has an unlimited fuel source in the source of fats via ketones. Once you allow the brain to have an option, okay, just like the little kid, if you give the kid an option of a candy bar or some broccoli, he's going to eat the candy bar. Same thing with the body.
Let's go to Great Ken. Hey, Dave. Hate you. So usually they say hate the show, and
this is personal.
He's going right at you. It's not very nice. When depleting water pre-contest, how long before prejudge do I stop drinking water? Once water is cut, do I do cardio or sit in a sauna to dry out?
The way the question is asked, I believe you probably need someone to coach you through this last week of prep. If it's something you want me to do, I do last week preps. You can sign up at dayplumber.com. First of all, you stop drinking. I have my guys stop drinking the night before. So at least maybe like 8 or 9 p.m. for a Saturday morning prejudging. I'll have them stop on Friday, 8 or 9 p.m. We usually do a little bit of diazides or some kind of natural diuretic like Aqualize the day before the show, whether for a Saturday show on Friday, we do some diuretics. The day of the show, I don't usually give anyone any liquids, maybe a half a cup of coffee in the morning to help as a laxative type, go to the bathroom. Other than that, nothing else. As far as saunas and sweating type stuff, I don't do any of that. If you have your protocol set up and you know how to dry a person out, there's no reason to be going into saunas or doing anything weird like that.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Reminder, the best overall question of the show and the best I hate this show gets nitralized pre-workout by Species Nutrition, available on the website, speciesnutrition.com. Reminder, in about 40 minutes, right here on RxMuscle.com, we're going to be joined by Rich Piana on our one-on-one format show, Live With. If you've never seen Live With before, go to our YouTube channel now. You'll have an entire row of previous Live With episodes. It includes some of the greatest in bodybuilding. You have Jay Cutler, Lou Ferrigno, Lee Haney, and a host of others. And of course, over the next 5 weeks, we're going to be including competitors that are going to be taking stage at the Arnold Classic. Now we go to our YouTube channel and start off with Reggie Bartlett. This show sucks so bad that the Camel Crew is now taking their information from Jason Blaha. Dave, do you think there are too many divisions now with Classic added?
No, I don't, because I'll tell you why. There were only 2 men's divisions before. There's probably 5 women's divisions. So I think the men needed another division. I was a big advocate for Classic Physique. I felt that there needed to be something to bridge the gap between men's physique and bodybuilding that included posing, and I think this is a great division. Do I like the fact that these shows go on for 100 hours, every day? No, I don't, and I think a lot of them are going to be going to 2 days now because of that, and I know the Masters Nationals, I believe, is 4 days, it's just crazy. But look, it needs to be done. There's a lot of people. The people are supporting the shows. The money is there. So we make it last a couple days extra, and that's fine. I think it's good for the sport. I think a mistake is to try to jam everything into one day when you have way too many people. Then the people on stage don't get their time in the sun, so to speak. They don't get to go on stage and enjoy it. It's like a rush job. The promoters have to understand, if we're going to have more divisions and you're going to get more application and entry fees, split the shows up into a couple days.
Let's go to Nuno Rodriguez. Dave, let's get your thoughts on a Kevin Levrone comeback at this year's Mr. Olympia. Could he make top 3 or even win?
No. First of all, I don't think Kevin will ever get back on stage. As a matter of fact, I just texted Kevin earlier today. He's supposed to get back to me because we were going to do we're going to get him on live with, so we can talk a little bit about the pro show that he's co-promoting with his Signature Series supplement company. I don't think Kevin will ever compete. I think at this point it's all hearsay and talk. I think it's fun, for Kevin to talk about it, and people get excited about it and remember him and buy his products. But I don't think we'll ever see Kevin on stage, and I don't think Kevin at this point mentally has what it takes to break the top 5 at the Olympia.
So again, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, we have Rich Piana. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we have Darren Charles, who's going to be joining us again on Live With. So 5 p.m. today, Eastern Standard Time, Rich Piana. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., Darren Charles, right here on rxmuscle.com. Now, here's a pretty simple question, but it may have some deeper meaning. I just want to make sure I get the right name here. Let's go to this question first. From Fasting Charles, when is the first big classic bodybuilding show for the Arnold? Is that going to be next year?
I think they're going to wait till next year. The Arnold people historically have always waited 1 year, at least 1 or 2 years after a new division is launched before they include it in their own program. So, men's and women's physique were just recently added. So I think probably next year we might see Classic Physique added to the program. They just had the first Classic Physique competition, not on the pro level, but on the amateur level at John Lindsay's Muscle Contest show, I believe, in Las Vegas last weekend. So it's out there, and there are people who are already winning titles. So it'll be interesting to see who the newest pros are and what guys will switch over and compete in the pro division.
So this question is from Shaq Fu Panda. Now, before I ask this question, Dave, I feel as if this question would have 2 different answers depending on whether it was asked in 2016 or back when you were competing. So his question, very simple, is there money to be made in bodybuilding?
Absolutely, yes. Where you get it is another story. Everyone historically thinks, well, if I'm the best bodybuilder I could be or the best men's physique guy, I will make money, I'll make prize money, I'll get paid. Look, you got to find your niche. Everyone has a different niche in this industry. You have to find what yours is. Mine was in giving advice. Now, I did make money when I was competing, but I made it from guest appearances and seminars, endorsing products. I never made a penny from prize money because I never was a pro bodybuilder. So, most people would say, well, if you're not a pro bodybuilder, you're not going to make it. You don't need to be a pro bodybuilder to make money in this industry. You need to find what you're passionate about, what you are good at doing. You might be a good salesman. You might want to work for a supplement company doing sales. You might be a person who likes to work booths, and you might want to work booths. You might, want to be a guy who gives advice. You might want to be a coach. You might take my Dave Palumbo Secrets to Becoming a Diet Guru course to become a coach and help people, get ready for competitions. There's so many new opportunities to make money in this industry now because of the additional of all these new classes, bikini and figure and men's physique and classic physique. Everyone needs a coach. So there's a lot of opportunities to become a coach if you are smart and you educate yourself and you take courses like mine, you go online, you study, maybe take some college classes on biology and biochemistry so that it could make you a better apt at giving advice. Obviously, nothing can be substituted for experience. So the longer you're doing this, the more you're in it. The key is continue to do what you love, and one day you will make a living from it. I truly believe that. Like I just recently got into breeding reptiles. I'm not making any money. I'm losing money. But right now, because I'm paying to buy animals and I have to feed them and all the time I'm putting into carrying them. But I believe one day, because I'm passionate about it, I will make money doing it. So you can't do something with the idea I'm doing it because I want to make money. Then you'll be miserable. Do the things you love. And if you really like bodybuilding that much and you like this industry, you'll find a place to make a living.
Again, you're watching AskDaveRxMuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. The best overall question and the best I Hate This Show gets Nitralized Pre-Workout by Species Nutrition, available on SpeciesNutrition.com. Let's go to, and I apologize if I mispronounced the name, Newton Chavan. Hey, Dave, when to cut down salt and water before a show?
I don't cut salt till a day before the show. So if you have a Saturday morning prejudging, I cut sodium on Friday. And a lot of times I might put it back on Friday night, but definitely I put the sodium back on Saturday morning, and throughout the day on Saturday I allow people to have salt because they're not drinking. As far as cutting fluids, for a Saturday morning prejudging, once again, I usually cut fluids 8, 9 o'clock at night, the night before the show. That's my way of doing it. I find it works. The longer you're off of fluids or the longer you're off of sodium, the more chances your body has to rebound and rebel against what you're doing.
Dave, this question is from Diesel. Your opinion on T-ball?
T-ball, also turinabol. To me, the East German women used to take turinabol back in the 50s and 60s, and that's how they were doing so well in the Olympics, or maybe the 70s. So people assume, well, this is a woman's drug. It's not a woman's drug. If you looked at the East German women back then, they were horrendous, okay? T-ball is too strong for a woman to take, lots of side effects, androgenic side effects. So that leaves us with, well, should men take turinabol? Well, turinabol is a lot weaker than dianabol. So if you're going to take an oral drug to build muscle and strength, as a man, you're better off taking dianabol. It's much stronger. It has pretty much the same side effects. So to me, turinabol really has no place in the bodybuilding world anymore, because women won't use it or shouldn't use it, and men, it's a waste for them to use it. They might as well use dianabol. So to me, I never felt that it was a useful drug.
Let's go to Hype Tracks 88. When doing Synthol on triceps, why shouldn't you inject on the outer head?
Here's what I tell people, and I have a protocol that I can send out to people if they're interested. But if you look at a person's arm when they put their arm up into a double bicep pose, the part that hangs low, that's the rear or fat head of the tricep. That's the head that you want to put the site injection oil into. Okay, if you put it into this little thin, skinny head here, it's just going to look like a lump there. And when you throw your arms up into a double bicep, it won't even improve your appearance at all. It won't make the muscle hang lower. It won't make it look rounder. Remember, site injecting your body is an art form, so to speak. There's good artists and bad artists. You got to remember to keep symmetry. A lot of guys tell me, well, I have good triceps, I don't have good biceps, I'm only going to inject my biceps. I said, if you only inject your biceps, you're throwing the symmetry of your arm off, because now your arm is going to look different because you have this big lumpy bicep with the same size tricep. Once again, when you enhance a muscle, whether it be your calves or your shoulders or your biceps, round muscles, you have to enhance the whole thing so that you keep the symmetry of the muscle so it looks natural.
Let's go to the E-Rich. Dave, can you explain carb loading while on a cut? I've been dead lately and need to know how to get some fullness and energy back.
A lot of times what I do is I tell people, and I have a lot of clients that I see who are on low-carb diets, not necessarily all of them on ketogenic diets, but low-carb diets, and I see that, they're really depleted and they're already super lean, and I'm like, now I want to see what they got. So a lot of times I'll just tell them out of nowhere, I'll be like, tomorrow I want you to add 35 grams of carbs from white rice to every meal, to all your protein and fat type meals, or even all your protein, fat, and low-carb meals. I want you to add an additional 35 grams of protein times 6 meals, and send me pictures the next day. And they'll do that, and a lot of times they look amazing after that because they're just so carb depleted and they've been doing it for so long, and their bodies just needed that. And I might and once I know the person's in shape, I might do that every couple days even. But I kind of go by how the person looks. If they get too depleted, I throw that in there. And this is what this person who's asking me this question sounds like. It sounds like they're in a super depleted state. When you feel that way, and sometimes your progress has stagnated and your energy levels are bad, throw a higher carb a day in there, but keep the carbs clean and see how that works.
Again, you're watching Ask Dave, 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo, sponsored by Species Nutrition. At about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be joined by Rich Piana on our one-on-one format show live with right here on rxmuscle.com. Let's go to Drunken Sessions. There's a name. How important is HGH for an advanced level bodybuilder? How far can you go without using it?
Look, growth hormone is not a necessity. I mean, the anabolic steroids are a lot more potent, but it certainly does help with you putting on more mass, staying leaner, having a fuller, denser look. There's no doubt about it. But look, the guys back in the 80s and early 90s really didn't have growth hormone, and they looked pretty damn good. So is it necessary? No. But will it make you look better? Probably yes.
Daniel Veluzzi. Dave, I posted on my Instagram today my predictions for the Arnold. What are your thoughts? He goes, Kai, number 1, Compton, number 2, Juan Morel, number 3, Branch, number 4, and Cedric in 5th.
I think that's a pretty good top 5. I might move a couple people around. I think it's Kai's show to lose, but I do think that Compton has a very good chance of winning the Arnold. I think that Evan Santopani will certainly be in my top 5 at least. I think Juan will be in my top 5. Branch will definitely be in my top 5. Who did he say that I didn't say?
Kai, Compton, Morel, Branch, and Cedric.
Oh, and Cedric. Look, it's going to be close. I think that there's going to be a couple, 1 or 2 of the really good guys that might not make that top 5 just because they're not going to bring their best to the stage. At this point, it's hard to say who that is. I think the guys we just mentioned with my additional Evan Santopani in the mix will be your top 6. But it could be, it might go another way. We don't know. Because I've never seen an Arnold or an Olympia, for that matter, where every guy that was in the top echelon came in shape. It doesn't happen. There's always someone who fucks up somehow or does something stupid or gets sick, and they just wind up getting pushed out of the mix. So it's an interesting show. Obviously, Kai being the favorite, but I think it's going to be a competitive Arnold, which sometimes we haven't seen in the last couple of years.
Hayden Letts has a little bit of more bold prediction. Goes on to say, I personally think, well, the first part of the question is who you think the dark horse candidate is to win the Arnold. And then the second part is, I personally think Juan Morel could pull out the victory over Kai and Compton.
Well, Juan's got a lot of gifts. He's also got a lot on his plate this year. He's got a newborn baby. It's a lot of stress. I know he just signed with a new supplement company, so that's good. He signed with Beast. That's got to give a little more, I guess you could say, security to him. But I've never seen Juan out of shape on stage. So I truly, if I was a betting man, I would put him in my top 5 right off the bat. There's no way this guy's not making top 5. I don't know if he's got enough to win it. I think that if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would say that if I had to go for a dark horse, I'd say Compton, for the win over Kai, which a lot of people probably would say is impossible. But I think if anyone could do it, he could do it because I think he's the new upcoming guy with enough size, mass, and conditioning. But if Kai brings it, no one's beating him. It's Kai's show to lose, and I think everyone knows that, including Kai out there. Will the pressure be too much? I don't know. I've heard rumors that this might be Kai's last show. I don't know why that would be, but rumors are just rumors, obviously. They may not be true. It would be interesting. I'd like to get Kai in our studios here and do a live interview and really get to pick his brain a little bit because I think that would be something that would give us some better insight into what's really going on because right now we don't know what's going on with Kai.
We now go to our Instagram questions. Again, you can join us there. Instagram /official_RX Muscle. That is our handle at @official_RX Muscle. And we first go to MRC Shadows. Reminder, first of all, that we are going to be joined in about 20 minutes by Rich Piana on our Live with One-on-One interview show right here on RX Muscle. Let's go to Mr. C Shadows. And it's another question about the keto diet. I hate this show so much. I'd rather listen to hours of Christian Duke instead of this crap of horse poo-poo. Is keto a thing that can be done year-round? I've been doing it for my prep, and after my show in 2 weeks, I was hoping if I stayed on it, can I retain my leanness year-round? Is that possible?
Yeah, you can stay on a ketogenic diet as long as you do your cheat meal once a week, no doubt about that. But I think after the show's over, you're going to get a little burnt out on eating no carbs, especially knowing that you really don't have to not eat carbs. And I've seen a lot of guys who stick to that same premise, the protein and fat, and they put a little bit of carbs into their program. 25, 35 grams per meal, maybe the first 5 meals of the day with the 6th meal, no carbs. And they feel great on that. They stay lean. The reason why most people get super fat in the off season is they start eating a lot of junky foods. They start eating erratically. They lose their structure to their program. And I believe that's why I stayed relatively lean. I did have a good metabolism, obviously, when I competed, but I had such a structured eating program that I never deviated. Maybe one day after the show was over, I had a weird eating day. But other than that, I was right back on schedule. That's the key. It's all about consistency. Consistency yields consistent results.
Let's go to Atedo Paldaway. Here's a philosophical question. Speaking of Kai Green, what kind of mindset one must nurture that is both helpful in and out of the gym?
Well, I think it's all about balance. I think as bodybuilders, we're the least balanced people out there. I mean, I could attest to that myself. I was a serious extremist, and it took a lot for me to say, you know what? More is not better in the gym. I have to balance out my life. I can't always be at the gym. It's okay to miss days. Matter of fact, it's important to miss days so that I can recover. So if you can keep balance in your life, but train with intensity, not miss meals, not miss workouts, not use excuses why you can't do this or that, not go partying, not doing self-destructive things to yourself. If you can do that, but stay balanced at the same time, I think that's a very successful, bodybuilder. More so, when we think of balance, we think of physical balance, but there's also mental balance too. A lot of guys have trouble mentally handling, the fact that they could possibly win a big show. They psych themselves out of it. Look at Kai Green; he's yet to win the Olympia. Now, people could make an argument that, they're not going to let Kai win the Olympia. But you know what the truth is? Kai never showed up at his best, so no one knows that for sure. So far, Kai's lost Olympias because of himself. So balance is what it's all about. Some people have it earlier in life. Jay Cutler had great balance in his mind, and I think that's why he was a great champion. Some people don't have that balance, and they never get it, and they never achieve what maybe they should have. I come to, certain guys come to mind. The Kevin Levrones, the Flex Wheelers, these are guys that possibly could have won the Olympia, but maybe just didn't have the mindset to do it. But that's the most important thing, is the mind. Everyone thinks it's the body. In bodybuilding, it's the mind, because the mind controls the body.
Let's go to Lord_Barisic. Hi, Dave. If a girl, natural, loses her period during contest prep, what is the best way to regulate hormones so it comes back, preferably without losing too much conditioning?
Most women's, and we talked about this earlier in the show, most women's menstrual cycle will return after a couple of months. If they're assuming they're not using any anabolic steroids, anabolics will suppress the period too. Usually women who take anabolics, it takes 3 to 6 months before their periods will come back once they stop the anabolics. But assuming a woman is natural, okay, and she loses her period, it's usually diet and body fat related. It will usually come back relatively quickly within a month or two. I know women that like a week after the show is over, their periods came back when they started eating normal again. Also, women who restrict fat in their diet too severely will also notice problems with their period, because remember, estrogen and progesterone are made from steroidal hormones. Are made from cholesterol. They're steroidal hormones. So make sure you're taking in enough essential fats, enough dietary fat in your diet, especially after a show. That will help the period come back faster.
Let's go to BPL Farms. Dave, I'm getting ready to come off cycle. I'm sure you've touched on PCT before, but how would you eat to maintain your physique as best as possible? In the past, I would increase calories and get fatter, but I would keep most of my muscle gain. This time, my goal is to stay as lean as possible, but keep as much size as I can. Should I keep food the same? Ramp protein up a bit? Thoughts? P.S. Your show is a pile of stinking hot garbage, only surpassed in grossness by George Farrow's breath. That's just so mean.
Assuming, you set up your contest prep or your diet prep with the right amount of protein and fat, which I assume you do, you don't really need to increase those very much. I might bump protein a little bit, just above what maintenance levels are. Fat should probably be about the same. Really, the swing nutrient becomes carbohydrates. So, if you're, maybe let's say you're doing a ketogenic diet, post-contest, start with 35 grams as a man or 25 grams as a woman of carbs per meal. See how that works. If you start gaining and you feel good, then keep it. If you hit a plateau and you're not gaining weight anymore, add some more carbs back in each meal and slowly tighter your amounts of food up and up and up. If after a while, you start getting a little maybe too full and bloaty looking with the carbs, maybe cut those back a little bit and raise protein. I like to constantly play with the macronutrients little by little. And I usually only alter one macronutrient at a time. So 1 week I might raise protein. 1 week I may raise fat. 1 week I may raise carbs. And then I just see how the body looks in accordance to that. And then I play with that. But the basic core dietary principles never change pre-contest or off-season. You always need high protein and moderate fat. And then the carbs become the swing nutrient.
We often get poems, and usually it's from our good friend Rob Starr, but we have another effort this time by CPO_Sumed, and I'm going to try to figure this one out because he's clearly referring to something that I have no idea about. There was once a Saiyan named Goku who ate lots of food like tofu. On Namek he tried, but Krillin still died. That was over the edge for Goku. Just like this RX muscle would try and cry and die in their effing pie. That was deep. Did you get that, Dave?
Can't we put these people to use as salespeople or something like that? They're wasting their talents on poems.
My question is, should a teenager or a physique guy take roids to compete? If so, what do you recommend?
I don't recommend anything. If you're a teenager, I think it's too young to use anabolic steroids. I would rather see people wait till they're in their 20s. I think you can make a lot of gains naturally in those years. There's no reason to take steroids because I think the longer you wait, the better they work. However, having said that, people are going to use steroids. There's plenty of teens I know using anabolic steroids, and if that's a choice of theirs to use it, then so be it. I think that if at that age they shouldn't be using heavy cycles, they should be considering maybe Anavar and Winstrol and Primabol and cycles, low androgen stuff that won't suppress their natural production in their body. But once again, it's really a personal decision. Less is better with teens, though.
We have time for one more question, and the only reason I say that is because we have Live With coming up in about 15 minutes right here on rxmuscle.com. We're going to be joined live by Rich Piana, so you're not going to want to miss that. If you're watching us live on YouTube right now, the moment we get off, we're going to set up the next broadcast, so you're going to be able to catch this show live, one-on-one, Dave Palumbo with Rich Piana. Our final question comes from Ellis Vine. Any thoughts on why Jay Cutler always seems so grumpy with almost zero personality in all his pre-2010 videos, then all of a sudden became funny in all his videos? Was it something in his diet or supplements he used to get decides to be Coleman, or you think the rise of social media has shown him in a new light?
Well, I think Jay, when he was competing, was very serious about competition, and he was very worried about being politically correct. And he wanted to be, a true, champion leader, say things that are right. Now I think he's out of the game in terms of out of competition. He wants to show his personality off. He wants to show that he does have personality. I think he's not afraid to say his opinions anymore because he doesn't have to worry about politics and how he's going to place. So I think he's a little more free now with the way he feels. Jay always had a good personality off the stage, when I would talk to him. And he just seemed very dry when he was competing. And I think, once again, that was just because he felt that he needed to be politically correct, which he did. He was probably very smart to do that. And now he has a different mindset. He's like, now he wants to be popular, and he wants people to understand that, hey, I got a good personality. I can laugh like the next one. I got good insights, and I have opinions, and here they are. And I think that's great that he's able to change phases like that.
That is going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. To catch this and all previous episodes, you can watch them on our YouTube channel. Reminder, in about 10 minutes, we go live with Rich Piana right here on rxmuscle.com. We'll see you then.